Hello there, and welcome to the top 50 tracks of all time. Apologies for the return to the grainy darkness. I was unfortunate enough to have to hang on to do today's recording due to a pretty packed day at a university, as my classmate Monica can testify, and Matthias, who's new to my Facebook page. Number 4. Oh, we're almost there. Moved down one place. So number 3, 10 years ago. 2005, so it's the last of the OOs, the last of the tracks between 2000 and 2009. And obviously, because it was released in 2005, it didn't feature in my top 30 tracks of all time. So it was actually a new entry at number 3. And 10 years later, it's only gone down one place. So it's pretty impressive, and also super impressive if you consider the fact that I talked about the top 5 having significance in terms of a biography of sorts, very specific symbols or elements within those songs or tracks that have something to do with my life, not just my love of music. There was one exception. This is the exception. So to end up first at number 3 and then at number 4 without having any sort of ties in that way is pretty big. The artist has featured once before, number 33. Not many will remember that, except for my son, who already knows who this is. Number 33 is Maddox's favourite track of the entire 50 so far. That was up until I think we'd done number 7 or something. So I don't know if Joy Division shifted that in any way, but up until not so long ago, at least, his favourite track was number 33, which was by this guy, Sufjan Stevens. So it's his second track. His first one came from Carrie and Lowell, 4th of July. This one is a little bit different. Per Eriksson already knows, because he knows that this is the best one from this particular album, or I'm pretty sure he knows it's the best one from this album. But it is John Wayne Gacy Jr., which some of you might be reacting to now, especially those in the US. They're thinking, wait a second, Marcus picked a song in his top 50 tracks of all time, which has the same title as that of a serial killer, and also one of the most notorious serial killers in the US, in that he was responsible for murdering very many teenage boys and hiding them under a crawl space under his house. He was actually caught when leaving a few too many clues for his last victim. Not 100% sure of the figures now. I think it might have been 19 victims. So it's a lot. He was described by somebody who wrote a book about him as the killer clown, because he used to dress up and entertain at children's parties and that kind of thing. He was a very popular character until obviously the news came out. So you're thinking now, okay, it's a bit of a weird topic to choose, a bit of a strange subject. Totally agree, which is one of the reasons why it's up here. Because if you're going to take that kind of subject matter, and not just that kind of subject matter, if you're going to twist that kind of subject matter, because basically the whole song describes or discusses the person himself and who he was and what he did, it ends with 3 pretty significant lines which twist the knife in or give it a bit more of a darker turn, where the narrator actually then says that he's pretty much identical. So first he's singing about this guy, John Wayne Gacy Jr., and then he actually talks about how they're very much alike. And if you were to check out my house underneath and find out what secrets I've got. So you're thinking, wait a minute. First, I thought I was listening to a song about a serial killer, somebody talking about a serial killer. Now I found out I'm listening to a song sung by a serial killer about another serial killer. And the one that's singing, I'm not entirely sure what number this particular person's up to, or the fact that we're listening to him suggests that he hasn't been caught. So it takes an even more disturbing turn. So in terms of, I know I like my melancholy stuff, but this is a shade in the other direction. If you remember, I said in the top 5 trivia that 4 of these I attributed to telling a story about me and a bit of a biography. And I said I'm quite happy for one of them not to be associated with me in any way. And obviously this is the one. So why do I like it then? I like it because it's challenging. It sort of takes a very tricky topic. Basically, I've mentioned earlier, I think it was way earlier, I think we were sat out on the terrace in the sun when I was talking about the fact that I had a group of musical artists, which I termed the 13 gods and goddesses of music, in which certain artists that have now featured recently in the top 10 are all part of. And Sufjan is also one of those, even though he's only got 2 tracks in the top 50. I have to say that this one, this album, Come On Feel the Illinois, or Illinois as it's called, seeing as it has the little E on and obviously links to music, is very high in my rated albums. And I think I mentioned when I played Patrick Wolf, Wind in the Wires, that even though that won my album of the year 2005, I knew I'd made a mistake, and the mistake was that this particular album didn't win. It's kind of interesting as well, because when you start listening to this album, or when I started listening to this album, I was extremely negative about the first track. I thought, what the hell am I listening to here? And that's nothing to do with like disturbing. It's very talked about jangly pop with New Order, who were definitely not jangly pop, but this felt very jangly pop. I thought it was really hard to put my finger on it, but there was something that really disturbed me about it. But enough in there that I had to keep listening. And the more I've listened, the more I've loved it. Certain tracks really stand out, but it works well as a whole package. It's a wonderful collection of tunes. And Sufjan is a genius when it comes to music, I have to say. He has won Album of the Year from me later on with the BQE, which is Road New York somewhere, an entire instrumental album about a road. Sounds terrible. It's a brilliant album. Like I said, it was my Album of the Year, whatever year that was released. I don't have that in my head just now. But back to the song. Powerful, significant, the way he pulls it off, the way he puts it together. Somebody wrote that you'd expect this kind of track or theme. You're writing about a serial killer, so you're going to have this like hardcore bumping, like really aggressive kind of music, and it's anything but. It's a beautiful melody. It's very, very soft and almost softly spoken, we could say, which again puts it on that disturbing side. I first listened to it and thought, a little bit. I didn't really concentrate on the title for whatever reason, but I was listening, the people like this person, public, blah, blah, blah. And then you start listening a bit more, you're thinking, wait a minute, it's talking about hidden bodies here. And it does knock you a little bit for six, especially those that may never have heard of John Wayne Gacy Jr. And listen to this song. It really grabs you. And then, he sings his little lines at the end about him being a serial killer too. And there's this little breath he takes right at the end, and it's one of, I think that's the other thing. I think music, it can challenge and it can disturb and it can twist and turn, and I think that's the thing with this one. It kind of sticks there right afterwards. I think the reason it's number 4 and the reason it was number 3 10 years ago, so it's, you know, we've talked about tracks that are eventually making it into the top 5. And this one's been in the top 5 since I could put it anywhere. It's a masterpiece. This really is a musical masterpiece. This is everything in how to make. This is almost like a masterclass in, just give me any topic, chuck a topic at me, and I'll make a brilliant song out of it. And Sufjan goes, yeah, okay. And then somebody just says to him, okay then, serial killers. And he goes, okay, I'm sure I can come up with something and make it one of the finest tracks that's ever been written. Number 4, in fact. So there's only 3 better. 10 years ago, there was only 2 better. So what are them 3 that are better than this? I bet you still sat there thinking, why on earth have we got this particular theme in? All I can say for that is, then if you're asking me now, you haven't actually listened to it yet. And if you listen to it, you're not asking me. That's as simple as it is. If you don't understand the genius of Sufjan, Maddock, my son, has understood the genius of Sufjan, and he's only 14, so he's a step ahead there. If you haven't understood the power, then you need to get listening to some, because he really is brilliant. Enjoy, or not enjoy, appreciate John Wayne Gacy Jr. See you tomorrow.